Hello and welcome to the penthouse of the spiritual bungalow. How are you doing today, Nomen?
Here with my patented Michael Lofton I read books background.
Nice. I like the Amy Tan.
Yeah, these are all fiction. Not really.
The real
Most of them
books.
are not my books, really. I'm not a big fiction guy, despite all the talk about fiction in previous episodes.
Yep. But speaking of fiction, I saw that that movie that all the Catholic ilk were talking about, the nefarious thing, and it was pretty good. It was definitely a lot better than the 10 minutes of God's Not Dead that I was able to sit through. But it's
Saving on the inside, turn like a light.
yeah. So,
I sat through the entire third one.
Amazing.
I don't know how.
Was that the one with Ray Wise? The guy
who knows? I don't know who any of these people are.
Well, Ray Wise.
There was a guy.
He's the president in Red Alert 2. Have you ever played Red Alert 2? The game
nope.
Where oh, I gotta show you. I'm gonna pull out that clip that's worth a while. But where you saying?
Oh, is this the thing that you showed me with the I don't care about your legacy?
Yeah,
I don't give a wooden nickel for your legacy.
Romanov, you call them off. Or no, Alex. He goes by his first name. Yeah.
Oh goodness,
it's amazing. All right. Well, I won't make our audience of none suffer through it. But okay.
It's like 2 minutes.
Give us this. Oh, okay. So we are gonna make them suffer.
No. It's that was a complaint.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it would be too long.
I never want to see that again. That's in the list of things I never want to see again.
It's so good though. Okay,
no, but that Keanu Reeves circa Matrix delivery, there is no spoon, like a 2x4 with a face painted on it.
Yeah, this was so awesome about
or Catherine Zeta-Jones in The Mask of Zorro, the people deserve to be free.
She's very pert in that movie.
Yeah, that's why she is doesn't have any acting. Because that's the reason that they hired her.
She's she's good at being Catherine Zeta-Jones.
It's okay.
Ooh. Amazing. But oh yeah, you got to tell me about what happens in God's Not Dead 3.
So there's this campus church that doesn't know what it is, because they've got an evangelical preacher pastor and then an Anglican style choir, and there's
nice.
It looks like it might be a Methodist church, but it's got some high Anglican accoutrement. So it's and then people are wearing robes.
Weird.
Sometimes
it sounds like what an evangelical would think of as a mainline Protestant church would be.
I think they were just what will tell people that it's church-y. When you watch most of these exorcism movies, right? Hollywood knows kind of that that there's supposed to be certain things. So the lax priest is always wearing the shirt with the collar, the t-shirt with the collar.
On this one, he was wearing
it's sage blue or whatever, and he's wearing khakis, and he's just not very good. And then something goes down, and there's screaming demons coming out of this woman's eyeballs, and then all of a sudden it's oh, we need to call someone who's really a professional. And then they're call him. And so then this guy shows up, and there's mist, and the moon is full, and it's beaming through the mist. He's got a full cassock on, and he pulls out a briefcase.
Hollywood
and he
knows where he's
takes
at.
he takes off his Saturno and he's like, hand me my alb. And then he just like throws he throws more stuff on than he needs. Like Hollywood has no idea what we use.
He's like
And he's
wearing a
got like a
maniple.
massive cross and like the stole, this gorgeous like 17th century penitential stole. And he's like, bring me the holy water. He gets the bucket and he goes in there and just starts yelling in Latin.
Yeah.
They know what a priest is supposed to look like. Like when you need an adult, that's what an adult would do. And then like the other guy's like, yeah, I don't know. Are demons real? I don't really believe in anything anymore. And he's like, the demons are real and they will take your soul. Follow me. Yeah. That's how every Exorcist movie goes.
But this was different though, because it wasn't, there was no exorcism that actually happened. It was a possession.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that at all. That's not fun.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be about like kind of the reality of spiritual warfare. Yeah, it is kind of more of like a lesson, sort of like oriented. It's the demon. There's no
fun.
There's no threat really to the demon because he's just talking to this psychiatrist, and so.
But that would be like if you had a pirate movie, but it was just about how like brigands would commandeer ships and then like live in their own filth and be deeply unhappy and sick all the time, and then like occasionally they like waylay some nuns somewhere and steal their money. Like I don't want to see that. Like that's not. You want the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's true. Well, yeah, there was definitely some from the cinematic. There's definitely some cinematic kind of lacking to it, just because it was, it was. But I mean, they did very well for what they did. The idea was that it was supposed to say, because all the exorcism movies are about focusing on too much on like the demons, like power. There's sort of like this manifestation of power, whereas this, they were talking about, they wanted to kind of set the record straight about the maliciousness of demons and how that spiritual reality is a reality. Spiritual warfare is a reality for everyone, and and that and it talks about how possession sort of manifests itself, and just about and it talks about the cruelty too of the demons, and their ultimate mission. They actually explain it really well about how they want that we are just a means to try and harm the one who created us. They're the enemy. And so
which is silly because you can't harm the Godhead.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, which is silly, but I think I'm pretty convinced that's why they do what they do, to their own detriment.
Well, I mean, the fall of the angels is a moment of, for lack of solemnity, an incredibly silly moment, like a dumb. Yeah. This is a dumb thing to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they focus on, but they do focus on that about like why would they do it? Like the psychiatrist kind of asks him, it's like, well, it's like what's really dumb? Like why would you even have this as your end game? And they said, well, they were pursuing their freedom. They wanted to be able to make a decision for themselves. Like why?
Yeah, it's hubris. It's hubris.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's sort of like a spiritual version of the decision to eat Taco Bell. Like that it's wrong.
That's what you said. It would be bad for you. Meal. Yeah.
You know that it's wrong and that it's bad for your body, but the hubris with which you order the Taco Bell, like you don't approach the counter at Taco Bell like cowering and like scared, like when you go into Taco Bell, you're like Nelson on the deck of a ship, right? You're just like, I'm in command, give me the Big Bell meal, and you're like, I want the extra large Mountain Dew. You're like, nothing can stop me, I am immortal. That's the kind of like attitude that one. That's a physical analogy for the spiritual sort of act of hubris.
It's funny because I remember you said that would be your last meal would be Taco Bell.
Well, it's not a sin.
I know it's not a sin.
It could
but
be. It could be a
yeah.
sin. It could be a sin. It could be a sin of gluttony. It kind of depends. But I mean, if it's your last meal, I mean, if you're going to be defiant to your executors, for example,
The
then it could be a good thing
well, because that was
to
it's
stick it to
interesting
them by eating Taco Bell.
it's interesting because that was kind of the that was one of the topic of discussion for the movie, since the demoniac is actually on death row, and that's why he's being met with a psychiatrist to determine his sanity. And he says to the psychiatrist, before today's over, he will have committed 3 murders. And then there's like this message about euthanasia and an abortion, and then eventually, after he's like, threatened and antagonized enough by the demoniac, he signs kind of the notice for that he's of a sound mind and able to face the death penalty, even though he doesn't think that he actually is of a sound mind, because the atheist doesn't end up converting. He just ends up sort of like having his atheism shaken without actually becoming an all-out kind of Christian. But it's yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I think it was like, a pertinent message. It was a pretty, like, quite a serious movie in some ways, and but it did bring home the point that we are a spiritual warfare, and there is, like, and it's the passage from First Peter that the Satan roams like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour kind of came to mind, and so that's why I thought of the topic for today would be, where is the place for sort of levity in the midst of sort of that reality? Because some saints, like Saint John Chrysostom is one who comes to mind particularly, really thought that it was inimical to sort of have a sense of humor, to sort of like being a serious, pious Christian.
Yeah, to be fair, there's a bit of a historical context. Humor in antiquity is really rough in most instances.
Oh yeah, like when you're reading, like, the who's the famous Greek comedian?
Aristophanes, yeah,
Aristophanes or Plautus, and
yeah, it's pretty. The theater is somewhat vulgar, depending on the play.
Yep.
But in general, most people that they would have been talking to as well would have indulged in sort of really, really lowbrow kind of slapstick. Like,
sure.
The cripple falls in the mud, let's all laugh at him, like that kind of thing. I'm serious.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
You still get that in you still get that, I'm told, in non-Western countries that are like really undeveloped. There's a kind of a really rough sense of humor, like, like, oh, grandma broke her leg, ha 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 ha. Like, that's not funny.
Well, actually, in Germany, I noticed that to be the case as well. Actually, I was really I was kind of appalled.
They're on the trains. He's very funny, ha ha ha.
No, like, there was like
they would never.
I remember we were doing
do you like? No, I'm not going to say that.
We
anyway,
I don't know how you could.
I can't say it. I'm not saying it.
I don't know how you could go one up from that. That's that was,
oh
yeah. Oh, sure you could. Yeah. He's just waiting. Yeah. Oh. No, but I was in exchange student in Germany when I was 16, and we were doing high jump in physical education, and there's the mat behind it when you do the high jump and stuff, and this Turkish girl went to do the high jump and cleared the whole mat and like landed on her head, and like the whole like sort of like gym just like erupted into laughter. They're like, bah. And it's like, oh my gosh, is like, she okay? Like, that was my first thought, but everyone else was just like, this is the funniest thing ever. But yeah, it's like, yeah, they definitely have that. Like, or if someone gets like hurt, and we think someone gets like getting hurt is funny too, but it's like, it's usually
only
like,
after only like the fails compilations.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's two things that are required. Like,
Yeah.
it's really funny if they deserve it. Like, if there's a
Yeah.
kid on a skateboard, if you have a
Yeah.
teenager on a skateboard,
Yeah.
and he like slams his crotch into a stair rail, like, because he's doing
Yeah.
something stupid, that is funny because he deserved for that to happen.
Right.
Don't do stupid things.
Yeah. Or when you know that they're okay, at the end of it, like it's just
Then it's like a little
yeah.
bit funny. But I
Yeah.
like a girl trying to pole vault and then something goes wrong. That's not funny. That's just
Well, it
like,
wasn't
oh
even-
my goodness, are you okay?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a pole vault, fortunately. It just was a regular high jump. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The pole would have made it worse.
Yes. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, the yeah, I don't know though, because you do see in like Western, it seems more exaggerated in the East. Like I think in like the Byzantine fathers seem to have like a more sort of contemptuous attitude towards humor. Like I mean, because in Irenaeus and Augustine, you have like some examples of humor. Like I remember in Irenaeus, we've talked about this before in Adversus Heresies, where he talks where they're talking about all the different like ions within like the Ogdoad and the decim and the duodecim, and they and he's like, instead of calling them ions, why doesn't he just call them melons? And within the within
Melons.
the melon, and within the Ogdoad of the cucumber, and
Oh man, like
it was awesome.
2,000 years
yeah.
ago. 2,000 years ago. No, well, yeah, but 1,900 years ago. Watermelon. Get some good memes going.
Oh yeah, well I know. Yeah, Irenaeus totally had it. And then there was he was talking about how like Achamoth. You remember this part where Achamoth, the mother of all, who she conceived like all of the worlds. So there was like the lowest of the ions was Zoe, who accidentally,
Zoe Deschanel.
Deschanel, yeah, she's the lowest of the ions. Accidentally brought matter into the world because because and so the mother of that was Achamoth, and she brought all, and then she was so sad that she had become material that she created all of the bodies of water with her tears. And
living in a material world, and I am a material girl.
and so then Uranus said, but if her tears filled the earth, then that would only explain for the saline waters, and so the flowing waters must have been made of her sweat, and the hot acrid water must have been from another source of water as well. And it's just like obvious piss joke. It was just, I didn't really expect from a church father.
Well, there's a good bit in the De Civitate Dei when I was reading that.
I wonder if you're going to mention this.
And Augustine, the poor editor of the book had no idea that Augustine was making a funny. That's a joke, son. You're supposed to laugh.
Yeah. About Adam and Eve?
No. It was about the corn god.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, he makes a lot of jokes.
How nodulous was the corn god, and you worship nodulus in order for the nodes of your corn stalks to be preserved from disease. And he was like, paganism is dumb. And the editor was like, we haven't found any proof of the existence of this deity outside of this text. Duh. That's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, there was an ancient, I think Roman, I think it was a native Etruscan deity, that she was like the god of acrid, sulfurous belches from the earth. Like she was the goddess of just like stank. Yeah. This is a real thing. I think it was an early Roman Etruscan deity. Yeah. I was like, why would you have that? Oh, gross.
It's paganism. They're
Gross.
savages. Yeah, but so why do you think that the Byzantines seem to be a little bit more serious than the Latins? I don't know. It was there. Do you think that maybe there was like a bit more of like sort of a well, it always seemed like I'll answer my own question because I think that it does seem like there is like a lot more obvious contention between sort of the what's going on in the state and then what's happening in the church in Byzantine. So maybe like the church, like for the good patriarchs and priests, they really felt like they had to distance themselves as much as possible from what was happening with the court. Whether that was sort of like jokes and merrymaking.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
Could be just
but you have
temperamental
like
thing.
like
It
saying
could be a cultural thing.
yeah.
The there just could have been more. There could have been more of a manifestly grotesque sense of humor in the eastern half of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, well, that seems to be a good thesis. But yeah,
They
I
may
mean,
have just
we
had
obviously,
less of a. May have
I
had
mean, we're
less
not
of a sort
Byzantine
of a.
historians, but there does seem to sort of be, and we're definitely making sort of like Dawson-esque kind of like sweeping statements about these cultures, which are
Why
certainly
not?
more
Let's
nuanced
just make
than yeah,
sweeping
yeah,
generalizations.
yeah, yeah. But
And they never showered.
yes, but yeah,
I mean, they probably didn't. They took baths.
yeah. I mean, like there's a place. For, I guess there's a place for these serious figures though. Like I mean, like I'm thinking of the Emperor Nicephorus, who was very serious and actually was almost successful in driving back like that was his goal, was to drive, was basically to sort of to lead a campaign against the Saracens all the way back to Mecca, to drive them all the way back, and he made it further than anyone else. But all he did was um, fight Muslims and then hold vigils at night, and his until he was betrayed by a close friend and his ungratified wife, who who ultimately was his downfall. So, but I mean, so I guess like there's a place, but I mean, obviously that's kind of an excess.
Yeah, do your
Because, yeah,
duty.
yeah, yeah.
That's not. That's not a. It's not good. Don't.
I mean, we
You see
obviously
that
can't
extremity.
excuse.
You see that kind
Yeah,
of extremity um, often lauded, and it shouldn't be.
yeah.
Um,
I did just kind of like it was kind of like bad A, and like when you first read it, like because it's so extremely against what the world values. So you do kind of like but yeah, you shouldn't laud that. You're right, but it does kind of, there is something
well, you got to
where
be like more
yeah,
like Charlemagne, where you can get that
yeah,
done, but you got other stuff too. You got going on. You got to do all of it. You do all of it. You learn Greek while you're putting your pants on in the morning, like. You go
yeah,
out for an afternoon and you club the
right,
Saxons over the head. Like you gotta just keep going.
sure, yeah,
Got to do it all.
yeah. Don't do the monomania thing. Don't pull like
Yeah,
a Mozart.
I think that's Mozart. I mean, certainly is very good. Too many notes,
Right.
but yeah, well-rounded personality is a better idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the Carolingian sort of like dynasty didn't succeed very far after after Charlemagne, but I mean the others carried on the legacy afterwards. But it was, yeah, but it's hard to kind of keep up with that sort of a that's the biggest problem, right? How do you actually
Tough act to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a problem for the next guy.
Yeah. I guess
I
so.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
What are you gonna? Yeah, I'm just gonna not do my best here, just in case, like the next
No,
guy
but that was
sucks,
the same. It was the
right?
same thing with happened with Alexander, right? Like it gets divided amongst the heirs as well, like kind of the legacy that's carried on, and obviously not all of them are going to be up to scratch.
Well, in his defense, he didn't think he was about to die in his 30s. So
Right. Yep. Yep. But so I don't know. Like, so if you can be everything, is it possible to be serious and sort of like full? Is that can you use that as an adjective, mirthful, at the
yes,
at the same time, or maybe a different? I mean, we have like liturgical
well, you
seasons,
can do it. So
obviously.
you can do it at different times, and I think you
Yeah.
can kind of do it at the same time. Um,
Right.
I think that everyone can and ought to be able to have a kind of a sense of humor about
Right.
everything that's kind of happening, including their own limitations and stuff. The sort of, well, you see this monomania that occurs in the spiritual life, and it often results in sort of a psychotic break
Hmm.
in people. Like, I gotta do the thing. I gotta do the thing. I failed. Everything's ruined, and then you
Right.
go off in
Yeah.
the proverbial story of the desert hermit who goes off the rails and then like goes on a tear through every brothel from Thebes to
Well,
Constantinople,
I'm
and then like, what have you done, brother? And he's dying. He's got like 58 different venereal diseases, and he's like, I confess, and then he confesses, and then he doesn't go to hell. He just goes to purgatory for a very, 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 very long time. The toll houses. No, the nonsense. Anyway, the where was I going before my
Well, you're
aside?
talking
No,
about seriousness
yeah,
and
don't
yeah,
like. Oh, I failed. Like, well, I mean, I'm human. This is kind of funny that I thought I could be better than I am.
sure.
Like
Well, I
let's
mean,
have a
like
little bit of a
Chester,
chuckle, or
Chesterton said, like the angels are able to fly because they take themselves so lightly. That's kind
yeah,
of the
yeah.
he's kind of the classical example of being like mirthful. But like, I mean, does he ever? But do you think that he kind of like goes goes on the pale too far on one side of the pale, but like almost never being serious?
Well, one could be serious and mirthful at the same time. That's very. You can see that with Chesterton. There's a very
Yeah.
all of his jokes are very serious jokes.
Yeah, well, that's true. There's always
I
something
think
behind them.
there's a seriousness behind every single joke, and I like to think that I strive to do something similar, where there's lots of jokes, but behind the jokes is a sort of a serious consideration of the nature of reality, and I think it's Plato who defines humor as like something is funny when it's incongruous, right? We were expecting X, we weren't expecting Y. Well, um, most of what we see is incongruous, and so it's called kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
If you don't recognize it as incongruous, uh, I don't know,
Do you think that
be upset a lot and not just get a chuckle at it. Like, it's the hubris of someone ordering Taco Bell is also funny.
yeah,
Um,
it is, yeah. Yeah,
um,
there was a point in the movie where they asked him for the demoniac what his last meal was going to be, and
if you say Taco Bell,
it was not Taco Bell, but he
oh,
was
that's
like
good.
he was mumbling. And you feel so bad for the person who's possessed because he just is he's such a wreck of a personality because it'll switch. The actor does an excellent job. That was kind of one of the things that really sort of was make or break for the movie was the performance of the demoniac, and he did an amazing performance, and you just feel like horrible for the person who is possessed. So they're asking him to list his meal, and he's just like, oh, I want a bacon cheeseburger and a milkshake extra thick. And it's like, and please get it right because it's very important to me. And then the guy's leaving with his order, and then the demon takes control and it's like, oh, actually, I don't want anything. I'm not hungry. And so he's like about to get like zapped with the electric chair, and then he's like, "Where's my last meal?" And then he doesn't get it, and it just breaks him. But yeah, I mean, it was really sad. Um, but I mean, it
How
did
does
get
it?
it.
How does that back and forth work? I don't know if I was like I want my last meal. You think I'd be like call a priest?
Well, I know that
Just
was
blurt it out.
but that was kind of the thing with the point with the demoniac is he never asks for God's help, and that's the reason why
Well,
he's
he should have.
yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the reason why he ends up, losing and getting fried and going to hell because
Call a professional.
yeah, yeah. Well, so the psychiatrist at one stage calls the priest in, and it is kind of like the liberal priest, and he's like, oh, we've evolved, and he had the kind of like that, he had like a gray stole with sort of like, it wasn't really a rainbow, but it was like kind of like very sort of 60s non-liturgical sort of stole.
Okay, Snorlax, go find me. Okay,
Yeah.
you evolved into
Yeah.
Snorlimbo or whatever. Go find me.
Yeah.
I want one of the unevolved ones,
Yeah.
please. Go find. Like, can I get a? He's like,
Well,
what's the area code for Kansas? I want someone to show up in the outfit. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I would like,
They're not that far from Kansas. It was in Oklahoma where it took place. You
Oh
just have to
goodness!
hop over a state. Yeah, I know.
Oh, at the Benedictines.
I know.
You
They
get like
could
a heart
be right
you could call
there.
Like you call in
Yeah.
the Marine, like no,
Yeah,
the
it's
U.S.
true.
Navy
Yeah,
SEAls.
I
Like this,
know.
like you got the real deal there. That, like I need. But why don't you leave the monastery for a good, like 2 days? Like it's really important. Like yeah, let's call someone who's on it.
They didn't like it
They
was
just
so.
he'd show up in a t-shirt and slacks, and you'd hear the guy screaming like halfway from the entrance of the prison. They'd be like, "Ah!" They'd know they're fried.
One thing I did struggle with the
Oh, I
with the
hate these. I hate
Benedictines.
these like psychological terror, like just then
What?
doing that with exorcism. It's not.
Oh.
I don't want to see that. Like I want
Oh no, that wasn't really.
I want
that.
action
Yeah.
heroes
Oh, action
because
heroes, right,
I'm like I don't know.
yeah. Well, it wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
not.
not.
I don't like
Isn't
that.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
want it. Make it go
No,
away.
but I mean, like, but it is an important. Is an important reality for like that's what they designed it for, like the horror crowd to sort of like help people sort of wake up. That's kind of the that's kind of the call, is to try and kind of make people wake up out of their slumber. And I think there are a lot of people who are slumbering right now. Like even just today, like my father-in-law watches CNN. I don't know why. He's like, he's one of those boomers who just watches it. And they were talking,
man. Everyone loves the airport.
yeah, but
nostalgia.
But they were talking about like Ron DeSantis's sort of like his like campaign for president, and he's just like, oh, Trump is gone to the side of Disney, and because he's talking about how like Disney is basically sexualizing children, and I'm like, okay, if I was a parent, like just to sort of and I'm a stepfather, but like I mean, but if I was just like an asleep parent who just sort of is like kind of going along with the flow, and someone on the television, even someone who's been presented as sort of like kind of a bit of like a extremist person, said that Disney was sexualizing children, I'd want to look into that. Like, I mean, it's but they're not. Like that's the problem. Like, and they didn't even like CNN. They didn't even like address the claim that Disney was sexualizing children, because I think a lot of people have just sort of either accepted it, or they don't think it's too bad, or they're just not worried about it.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's horrible. Like, it's a horrible place to be. I mean, you're not even. There's no way you're in a state of invincible ignorance at this stage.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's just like that. No, but it's just like the Big Lebowski, right? We are nihilists. We believe in nothing, Lebowski.
Yeah, but do you think that like
Most people, yeah, but most people are functionally nihilists.
you think so?
Yeah.
Well, like I mean, I remember Rod Dreher's book, The Benedict Option, which was not a great book. That came out a few years ago. He said that most people, uh, at least maybe this is more of an American perspective, are sort of like have this like idea of like um what was it? It was therapeutic moral deism. And so there's not real there's like a moral there's like some there's a vague morality sort of like underneath it that's undefined. But they know that something's wrong. But I guess
Yeah,
it's very easy to sort of like
that's functionally
yeah.
nihilism. Like,
Why though? Because like
well,
nihilism is a
because like no,
denial of
but
morality.
if you're John, if you're a nihilist, do you wear pants?
Yeah.
Well, why?
Well, just because
Well,
it's
but you
yeah.
believe in nothing. You might as well not wear pants. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
matter.
guess yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, but you do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
If you're a nihilist,
Yeah.
nihilists, anyone who claims to be a nihilist, a serious nihilist, no, Donnie, these men are cowards. That
Oh yeah,
no,
they're
Donnie,
not
these men
actually
are cowards. You're
they're
not.
actually just
You
like
believe in
cowards, yeah.
nothing. So you
Yeah.
just kind of have like you just kind of have a vague like just like container full of like it's like a bag full of marbles, but they're just like sentiments, and they just kind of whack around in the bag, and some of them fall out. You know, like if you tip the bag over too much, but it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
It's just a
it's
very
really more. It's
lazy. It's a very lazy position to hold. You know, because you just can kind of like, yeah, you just kind of let your sentiments like shift and settle,
yeah. Well, you just
and
like
they
go
can
with the
just
flow.
be,
You know, it's like whatever's going
yeah,
on is cool. That's
yeah,
fine. You know, we saw the start of this in the 20th century, right?
mm,
With the decline of morality that occurred, that we saw really manifest itself in the 20th century, like uh, back to Germany. What happened in the middle of the 20th century in Germany? And a lot of
yeah,
people just went along with it. They were like, well, you know, it's happening. And I got things I want and there's stuff. And he makes a couple good points about how they're being mean to us. And you know, like
yeah.
I don't like owing money. And then like, well, I don't really know if they're putting them in camps. Like that sort of thing. Like a lot of people did that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people see that
Well,
too, and they're
yeah, and
like,
with like
he
with
claims
abortion today,
Disney is
yeah,
sexualizing children,
yeah,
right? And they'll be
yeah.
like, wow, that's like if someone came out and said they're putting the people in camps. Like, no, they're not. Everything's fine, man. Just
Or
sit
yeah, or that they're
down,
killing babies and
watch the hockey ball game, drink the
yeah,
Bud Light beer and the
or
Molson whatever
Molson corn syrup,
the
the
Molson
Molson
corn
corn
syrup
syrup. Yeah.
surprise and just like
Mm,
it's all good. It's all fine. Everything's still fine.
just Netflix and chill.
It's just all been fine all the time.
Oh. Well, that's
Yeah,
why all those
and
pop
that's
songs, the pop songs, everything's gonna be okay. It's like
yeah. Everything's
everything's
gonna
gonna be
be
okay.
okay.
Everything's gonna
I
be
wish I had like
okay.
a list of like
Yeah,
everything's okay.
yeah, that would
We're
actually be good.
okay. I'm okay. You're okay. I'm
No,
okay. Are
no,
you
it's
okay? I'm
okay. It's okay.
okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Everything's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's kind of a good sort of like cover up to
I love this
fallible.
record, baby, but I can't see straight anymore. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, it is a kind of a good sort of covering up of sort of complicit ignorance, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's functional nihilism is what it is.
yeah,
Because there's no like there's a bunch of morals like you were saying,
yeah.
but I think Rod Dreher is giving them too much credit. There's morals, but they're held on by like duct tape, not ratchet straps.
Well, and it's yeah, and
Like
it's not even
you've got the nothing trailer, and then there's a bunch of like junk in it, and
yeah,
it's all held in by duct tape and gravity.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I guess like that's kind of why what the movie was there for was trying to sort of like awake people. Like I guess at one stage, like the the psychiatrist said he's just like it's just like he said oh, I didn't realize I was in a fight, and he said that's why you're losing. And so that was kind of the central message the film, right? That we are in a battle, and but I mean, yeah, I mean, and that's the Christian message. Like, I mean, that's why we call ourselves a church militant. I mean, at least unless you're a certain priest whose last
You
initial is M,
backwardist.
huh?
You backwardist.
Backwardist. Yeah, but
Diatrismo.
what is that?
It's backwardism. You filthy
Backwardism.
restorationist,
Oh yes.
Neo-Pelagian,
Yeah. Neopelagian.
Promethean, Neo-Pelagian. What?
Yeah. It's weird. It's like it's a weird accusation to call trads Pelagian when like I mean because they're definitely more um likely to fall into the heresy of
Jansenism?
Jansenism, which is the opposite of Pelagianism. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess like the accusation probably is that, that um, the fact that we're sort of like claiming that the spiritual life requires an effort on our part is Pelagian. I guess that's kind of what the claim is as being a Neo-Pelagian, is that if we say it requires effort, then it's like, oh, that's Pelagian, because you're saying that your effort's required. It's like, no, I mean, your cooperation is required.
No, what it is that we say that it requires that the effort is spiritual and it involves prayer and it involves liturgical observance, rather
Right.
than being a social worker. I'm pretty sure when someone says, don't be a couch potato, he doesn't mean like, get up and say the office. I think he means like, go be a school counselor or something, stupid like that. Like some stupid 70s, I'm going to change the world, Coach Carter
Don't
bullshit.
go make a difference. Go make a difference. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get sidelined into that whole thing because that could easily sort of take up the majority of our time.
4 hours later.
But I don't know. So, but then shouldn't we be more serious then if we are if we are sort of like upholding that there is this very serious duty that's sort of before us? I mean, how do we actually make that
Yeah,
reflect
but
if
what
we're
what
just
what do we mean by
skipping
serious
around the
here?
time?
What do
Well,
we
I
mean by
mean,
serious? Do we mean when we fast, we
before,
should put sackcloth and ashes on so that everybody knows that we're on it?
well, I know that is a problem. That is a pitfall for sure. But I mean, like before we started the podcast, we were, talking about, Star Wars and comparing it to the quality of like Lord of the Rings, which I mean, how much of the place does that sort of like does that sort of have in the Catholic life? I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't think it's like implicitly sinful in any sense sinful really, but I mean it isn't necessarily like even like our even the motto our exiting motto, like you will receive your reward in purgatory, is sort of sort of indicative of sort of like of a bit of a um how would I
There were
describe it?
those gentlemen on the
Yes.
the internet television. They're quite a bit tongue in cheek. I don't know about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
a little bit too spicy.
it is being spicy, but it's but it could also be sort of interpreted as sort of like a lack of seriousness towards the that we are endeavoring to undertake. So what would be the rebuttal to that? It's like, oh, you're not serious about it. You don't love Jesus. I've heard I've heard tradies actually come at people as like, or we love Jesus more than you because we care about these things obviously. I mean, just the like. I mean, that kind of is sort of like a hubris. But you see that in tratty, like you see that all the time, though. You see that like the tratty sort of flex thing, which is, always kind of gross when you encounter it. But I encounter it a lot. That's why I kind of tend to stay away from Catholic
St.
social
Joseph's
media.
belt.
Yeah, that was but he wasn't flexing. That guy was disturbed.
Crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Like what's so how would you but how would you sort of counteract those accusations of like, oh, you're not serious enough about the serious things, the serious matters, Nomen. You're a nominalist. You just care about
the
nomen and
yeah.
yeah,
The nobody.
yeah,
No, nobody is beating me to death with a stick.
yeah, yeah.
Well, there's two ways.
No
The first
one,
way, which is of
yeah,
course what I would probably say, which is,
yeah,
well, we'll wait until Judgment Day and see what the tally says, and
sure,
then one of us will be right. Now go away.
right, yeah,
I don't like you.
mm-hmm.
My friend doesn't like you either.
Yeah.
Um,
Star Wars, Star Wars.
uh,
But will we be held account for the amount of time that we've spent referencing or watching or memeing Star Wars?
possibly,
Yeah,
possibly negative. I don't.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Um, I think. Oh, I think really, it's really only bad if you should be doing something else. Um, at the
But shouldn't you
time.
always be doing something
Oh my
else?
goodness! Here we go.
Yeah. Isn't there always something better that you could possibly be doing?
Probably.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are. But now we're asking the questions, right? I mean, that's kind of this is the start, at least. Is to
Yeah,
sort of,
I'm trying to think,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
tried to stall by
yeah,
being facetious, and
right,
it didn't help. So now I'm just stuck thinking.
yeah. But I I don't know. Like I think it's I think that there is. I don't know. I guess my answer would be that there is kind of like there is a season for everything. Like I mean, I think that there is kind of like, you have to, God's kind of created our personalities, for a reason, and I think that there is kind of like, you have people like Chesterton who do really sort of see the humor of things and are able to sort of like, bring that forward. And, because that's why, like, I'm not an existentialist, but I used to be an existentialist because I didn't understand metaphysics. Um, but I do sort of like think that that's why sort of God in His wisdom loves variety and diversity, because there is sort of like a need for different sort of opinions. So it's good for us to sort of like to manifest like our personalities in this space, even though we don't really have much of an audience. It's because it wouldn't be very like authentic if we were trying to be.
Did you see last night's podcast? It was amazing.
If we did that, yeah, if we did the Bob and Judy sort of thing, or if we did, or if we tried to be, I don't know,
Joe Rogan? Whoa.
Joe Rogan or Taylor Marshall or
Space aliens.
Space aliens. Yeah.
Space aliens.
Or if we try to be like the
You're not on the team.
try to be the Gordon brothers. You don't have enough
Lose some weight, fatty.
Lose some weight. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe even in
I really like Nirvana.
Nirvana skateboarding.
Skateboarding.
I remember one of his episodes. He was advertising this like Catholic dating website where you could actually put in sort of like a tag for like sort of like rules for retrogrades. So you'd only find it was a filter for the dating app where you'd only find other like fans of rules for retrogrades.
It'd
And
be
I'm just
great if it was all like men and women who only look like Timothy Gordon. Like they're just like,
just variants of Timothy Gordon. Yeah,
yeah, very Timothy Gordon and just like
the
white
same
robes.
hair, the same hair.
He is our leader.
But I just, yeah, I couldn't imagine really being into anyone who was in the Timothy Gordon filter. I don't think that would be my crowd. It seems like it'd be a very unique woman who's into the Timothy Gordon. I mean, his wife certainly be part of that crowd. She's a interesting one. She actually um penned the title the authorship of her book as by Mrs. Timothy Gordon. You know,
Oh my
so there
goodness.
you go.
Yes, the claim, I believe the claim was that it was authentic magisterial teaching of the Council of Trent that women couldn't leave the house without their
Yeah,
husband's permission or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I looked it up and it was like the actual line was in the Catechism of the Council of Trent, not the actual. No, was it in one of the hortatory sections of the documents, not the anathemas?
Hmm.
Or was it in the Catechism? I don't know, and I don't care for the sake of this bit, but the line actually said, like, women shouldn't be eager to leave the house all day to gossip, or more or less. Like, women shouldn't be like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to go out and just like do social visits for the whole day. That was what the line was. It's that women should take care of their families and like put their households in order instead of gossiping about everyone and drinking tea all day. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that
Pretty
was a problem.
straightforward. Yeah. What's the problem today as well? Yeah.
But by the way, what do you think
Sounds like a
all of the
perennial
this
program.
what is this all of this stuff?
The
This
video
is all
game
that
thing?
stuff, but on the internet.
What? The texting?
So yeah, like looking at the phone and going on Facebook
Oh,
and going on Twitter,
right. Yeah.
especially Twitter. Like the
Oh,
Twitter
yeah.
warrior nonsense. Like
Oh my
and
gosh.
if you have these like lady like these like I would castigate and say like what the Council of Trent here applies to like lady Twitter warriors and bloggers who are spending way too much time on the internet.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So take that.
that's kind of an
Like read the
epidemic. Yeah.
context. It's not authentic. You can't leave the house without your husband's permission or whatever
Authentic
she said.
magisterium.
I don't remember. For the sake of this completely offside lampoon, I'm just going
Right.
to say that was the claim with no evidence.
Oh, you're being like a friend now. It's like
No
she's quoting a
evidence.
quote. Yeah.
Facebook post one time. I'm
Yeah.
sure she didn't say that. I'm sure it was a little more measured than that, but
Sure.
it kind of came out sounding like that. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
By the way, make sure that that you like and subscribe to our channel because that is essential. But yeah, I mean, I think back to the point. I do think that God, in His wisdom, has ordained to have a variety of personalities. Representing His body here on Earth. But I don't know. It just seems like we are kind of doing like a bad job. Like I mean, as co-redemptors, like so, like what can we do to do better? Like I mean, there's yeah.
we could complain on the internet some more.
Complain. That's the first thing we should do.
That's the first and the last, and everything
Yeah.
in the middle.
That's all you need.
Yeah, all you need.
Is complain.
It's the one thing that's necessary is to get on the internet and complain about the hierarchy.
Yes.
Just
Essential.
rah!
No, yeah, don't read your Bible, just complain and moan. Don't follow your state of life or your duties. Just make sure you're up on all the things that Dr. Mikola tells you, um, and that, you know, and interpretations of private revelation. Make sure you get all the interpretations, because then you get the right one.
Yeah, that's the important stuff,
Yeah.
Okay. Serious talk, though. When people do go to read the Bible, get a good commentary. Don't just read it and try to figure it out.
Sure. Yeah,
Many
like
people
I
are not
mean,
going to get a good commentary from the pulpit.
no.
Get a good commentary.
Yeah, I mean, like like, would you recommend the Catena Aurea for the Gospels?
Yeah, that might be a little bit difficult for people to read. It's just
Well,
not very continuous, but
well,
the
yeah, I
Catena
mean, but it's
Aria, Peter and Bergsma both have
oh yeah.
good commentaries. Good
Well, they've got that old.
introduction to
They've
the
got
Old
that.
Testament is very good.
Yeah.
Cornelius Lapide, some of the volumes are available in English.
Well,
They
it's
are
not
available in
easy. It's
translation.
not easy to read either, though.
Yes, it is.
Well, why is it more
Uh,
easy than the Catena Aurea?
I think it's probably about the same as the
Yeah,
Catena.
it's about the
The thing
same.
about the
Yeah,
Catena is it's
it's
different
broken up.
quotation, so it can be
Yeah,
a little jarring for people who aren't used
yeah,
to reading something like a Florilegia.
yeah. St. Thomas' commentary,
Yeah,
obviously.
St. Thomas's commentaries might be a little bit
They're
more
pretty
difficult.
dense. Well, because because
Lapide
he's
is dense, but he tries to cover everything.
yeah, yeah. St. Thomas definitely gets down in rabbit holes for sure, big time. And he's so like immersed in kind of the literal sense that sometimes in ways that sometimes aren't particularly culturally relevant. Like he'll talk about, like I remember in his commentary in the Galatians, he talks about um, I think I've quoted this line to you before, but it says that he quotes in the first half of like the third verse of the first chapters. It's like, foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? And he talks about why the race of the Galatians are foolish and sort of their barbarous origins. And then he talks about how bewitching actually occurs when the beams of light actually protrude out of your eyes. So you get so you get like some sort of like some antiquated like optics plus some like some uh some antiquated sort of genealogy just thrown at you like all at once, which is awesome. But yeah,
Yeah,
might not be everyone's cup of
different
tea.
flavors. Another good stuff. So other good
Yeah,
stuff. So presuming an internet connection, of course, New Advent has all of the Ante-Nicene and the Nicene, post-Nicene Fathers collection up on
yeah.
there. John Chrysostom has commentaries, sermons on basically all of the New Testament.
There's a
Uh,
collection. There's a collection called um, the Ancient Church Commentaries, I think, or the Ancient Fathers Commentary. But I just find like that those commentaries that are broken up, like kind of verse by verse, like don't do that much good. Like I mean, because I've used them a lot when I was in seminary, but you really like when you're reading like the fathers, especially, you really have to read them in context because I would have never really understood um, what Irenaeus was talking about for half of Adversus Heresies, unless I actually read the dreaded first two books where he just talks about the the all of the misendeavors of the the
Valens.
Gnostics, yeah, the Valentinians, yeah. So because he keeps on referring back to it, so it's hard to sort of like get a piecemeal sort of understanding of. But I mean, that's why I guess like St. Thomas really is your best option, though, since if you want to synthesis, since he is like doctrinally pronounced as like the greatest synthesis of the fathers.
Yeah, no, the Catena is really good stuff.
Yeah.
And his commentaries as well, but there's the
You
stuff
just
by
have to dive.
Augustine
Yeah, yeah.
up
Like
online.
I love his
He's got an entire
the tractates
book
on
just on the
John are really
Gospel of
good.
John. He's got
Yeah.
the letters of Saint John. He's got an entire thing about he's got a harmony of the Gospels. He's got an entire thing about the Sermon on the Mount,
I guess it
which
doesn't
we
matter
ought to
what you
know.
read. I guess it doesn't matter what you read, just as long as you.
Check this out, y'all. Read a book, read a book, read a book, read a book. Read...
I mean, that's
book.
facetious.
Good book.
Yeah, a good book, yeah. As long as it's a good book, not just a book. Yeah. Don't read Umberto Eco like on top of your unless he actually had one. He had a couple good books about sort of like Thomistic aesthetics before he est the
Went
bed.
off the wagon.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was a sad story. That's the but that is kind of like the one of the pitfalls of the intellectual life, because we are in a battle, and that is one of the weapons that Satan will use against us is our intellect.
Yes, but you know what the chief enemy of pride is?
Humility.
Yeah, having a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, taking yourself lightly. Yeah, because you do see that actually. That is such a tendency in any sort of heretical author that you read, is they do have this kind of that hubris that's kind of like that just really comes out into the forefront of whatever they say, and they always take themselves very seriously.
Very serious. I'm a very serious
Yeah.
individual, serious intellectual. I don't know, nothing I would say would be wrong, and I would never,
No?
like I get things wrong all the time, and then of course it's funny. It's like, oh, you stupid man, you tiny speck of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Thought you had it all figured out, did you? Well, you don't. Do you know why? Because
You're a
silly.
dog.
You're a dog.
I just wrecked my camera. Oh my gosh. I should get that clip actually for next time. It's going. All right, everyone.
We'll date you. You're a dog.
All right. Well, remember,
You will receive your reward in purgatory.
that was very well delivered. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.